What's going on, guys? DeJesus here. Thank you so much for joining us for another video. Today we're going to be going over all of the supplies I use for customizing sneakers on a daily basis. Now there is a ton here, and all of this has been built up over a long period of time. This is all accumulated after almost nearly a decade of experience customizing shoes, and this is certainly not what you need just to get started. You're going to get by without a lot of this, but this is what I've built up over time, and these are all things that I use truly on a daily basis when it comes to customizing shoes. So you know what, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. So I figured that we would work our way through all of this in a very similar process to how you might actually work on a shoe, starting off with some of the prep work. So I like to use 3 grits of sandpaper. We're gonna be using a 400 grit, an 800 grit, and then a 1500 grit. I also like to use a Ryobi detail sander machine to just save on some of the elbow grease, speed up the process a little bit more. One of the common questions that will get asked about this is how do you attach the sandpaper directly to this triangular pad right here? They don't make the adhesive pads in any of the finer grit sandpapers. That's sort of gonna stop at maybe like a 200 grit to where you'll actually be able to find some of the adhesive pads. So what you have to do is cut down some of your larger sheets of the sandpaper into a triangle, and then I'm just gonna take some masking tape, form a little circle ball, and attach that to the sander pad and then to the back side of the sandpaper. After that, I'm gonna be using a Scotch Brite Pad to rough up that surface even more, and then we're gonna be moving into our acetone or our leather preparer and deglazer. And then you're gonna go ahead and mix this with a cotton ball. You could also use something like an old t-shirt rag if you run into the issue of having some of that cotton rub off into your stitching or something like that, but I've used cotton balls forever. I like to pick up the larger gallon tub of acetone from your local hardware store, something like a Home Depot. It's just gonna save you a little bit of money in the long run, and then we're gonna wanna be using something like a respirator if you're gonna be working with a strong chemical like acetone. This also comes in handy if you're gonna be doing any airbrushing indoors. Next up, I like to use a heat gun to not only help speed up the drying process, but this is also necessary if you're ever working with any fabrics or gonna be painting the sock liner of any shoes. This is a Wagner brand, but there's a lot of great other options out there also. Right before we're ready to paint our shoes, I'm gonna lay down a couple coats of adhesion promoter. There's a couple brands that you could choose from, like a Bulldog, or I like to use the Rust-Oleum. Whatever you can get your hands on easiest is gonna work. Next, let's go ahead and talk about some tapes. Now, this is where you really got to find what works best for you and kind of your own method to the madness. I like to use the green Scotch 2060 rough surface tape. What I actually do is I just rip it up into smaller pieces rather than doing sort of the over tape and then go ahead and X-Acto off. A lot of people end up messaging me saying that they cut into their leather. So if you go ahead and rip this off into smaller pieces, this is where I just feel I have the most control and can really help create a nice tight seal. For larger surfaces where you don't want to leave behind any residue, I'm going to be using this Protapes Crepe paper. It's 3 inches wide, so it's great for masking off a large surface. And like I said, since it's a low adhesive, it's not going to leave behind any residue for you. For sock liners, I actually like to use Gaffer's tape. You could also try something like medical tape. You really just got to find what works best for you, and it's really going to vary because all sock liners sort of are going to be made of a different material. So you really just want to create a nice tight seal. And sock liners can be pretty unforgiving. If you get any paint on there, like a white sock liner on something like an Air Force One, it's going to be a hard time trying to get any of that paint out. So you really want to try to make sure you're able to create a nice tight seal. We also have the classic contractor grade Scotch 2020 tape. This is what you could pick up in the larger 6-packs from your local hardware store. Now, moving into the actual painting, of course, I prefer to use Angelus brand paint. They have far and away the biggest selection. Their paint is definitely the easiest to work with, and I have been using them for nearly a decade now. They have a lot of great additives. They have their Too Soft, which is a fabric medium additive. This is going to help you work on things like sock liners, any of your prime knit type shoes like a Yeezy V2, any mesh shoes. This is great. They also have Too Thin, which is going to help you thin out your paint so that you can run it through an airbrush. And then they have their Too Hard, which is a plastic adhesion promoter / film hardener. So if you're ever working on something that's very stationary, like a back tab of a Jordan 3, that's when you're going to want to use something like Too Hard. This is not for if you're trying to paint something like a midsole on an Air Force One or anything like that, or a sole. This isn't going to help at all. That paint is still going to crack anytime you're trying to paint on rubber. Also for airbrushing, it's just sort of a preferred style for me, but I really like to use something like some texture airbrush stencils. This texture pack that we dropped a couple years ago, we should have back in stock, and more details on that coming for you guys soon. Hopefully in the not too distant future, you'll be able to pick up some of the larger quantities from Angelus, like the pints. or even maybe the quarts, or if we're all really lucky, the gallons. RIP to these. These little paint palettes are also gonna come in handy for a lot of your painting. You can pick these up in like a 4-pack, I think, from Dollar Tree. From time to time, I also like to use some Jacquard airbrush ready paints. They have some really strong metallics like this solar gold. This is a really great metallic paint, and like I said, these are airbrush ready, so you just gotta shake them up till you hear the ball rattle in there, and then you're ready to go. I like to keep a fair amount of my Angelus paints airbrush ready, so what I'll do is take some of the Angelus paint, mix together a little bit of the too thin, and then run that mixture directly through a mesh strainer. This way, any of the old dried up larger clumps can get caught in that mesh strainer, and that's not gonna end up in your airbrush clogging it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and store that mixture directly in one of these little 2-ounce containers. And these are great to just have in a drawer nearby anytime I need some of my Angelus paint airbrush ready for a lot of my base coating and things like that. It's great to have a lot of those ready for you. And then for a lot of my work, I really enjoy, oh boy, never mind. When it comes to paintbrushes, my preferred ones are going to be the Princeton Select series. This is a really high quality brush. You could pick these up on Amazon or at your local craft store. Also, the brushes that come in the Angelus starter kit, also perfect to use for shoes. And then when it comes to my detail brushes, I recently, in the past year or so, started using these Zem Detail Brushes. Now for any of my portrait work, for anything incredibly detailed, these are gonna come in handy. And then, as you guys know, another method that I've been using for years when it comes to doing some detail work, whether it's an outline around something, always going with the Toothpick Gang. Those also are going to come in handy when you're maybe untaping a shoe, you get a little bit of paint on the midsole or something like that. You're going to go ahead and scrape that dried up paint directly off the midsole with the toothpick. They have a lot of great uses. Also, for cleanup purposes, in the finishing stages of a shoe, I definitely like to use Q-tips. You could dip these in acetone and get any of that additional paint that you have maybe left behind on a midsole or any panels where you didn't want any paint to get. Q-tips and acetone are really going to come in handy. Another little tool that I'll use for some painting is going to be these nail art dotting tools. These are cool because you'll usually get them in something like a 5-pack, and then on both sides of the tool there's going to be a different size dot. So if you ever need to try to create a bunch of perfectly round dots, whether you're maybe doing something like a galaxy effect and you want to fill in some of those glowing stars, these really come in handy for something like that. Then for brush maintenance, something I've never been good at, this paint puck right here has been an absolute game changer over the past few months that I've been using it. A really great way to not only clean because of the little pucks at the bottom, but then just to store and dry your brushes again. I'm somebody who's always just left a huge cup of dirty brushes nearby, let that water get super dirty and you're not really cleaning them, you're kind of just throwing them in the water. That's always been me. So now I'm trying to take better care of my brushes. And then I also like to use this brush cleaner and preserver. After they're starting to get a lot of use, this is something that can help reshape them and just help your brushes last longer, something we are all trying to do better in 2021. Then right before we move into some of the airbrushing stuff, I want to quickly touch on some of the dyes that I use. Dyeing is something I hate doing. Then right before we can dive into some of the other airbrush stuff, I want to quickly touch on some of the dyes that I use. I hate dyeing, but if I ever need to, if I'm dyeing something like an outsole, an icy translucent sole on like a Jordan 11, you could use Angelus Leather Dye mixed with Sole Brite. There's a couple other ones that I like to use, like the Dark Night Sole Dye. I actually prefer their jet black. The Angelus dye is a little bit of a brown shade almost, so the Dark Night Sole Dye is going to give you a more true jet black. Then for airbrush purposes, my go-to for years has been the Badger Patriot 105. This thing is a workhorse. I always like to keep a couple airbrush needles nearby also, if I'm ever picking vinyl or anything like that. It's also great to just have some replacement parts for your airbrush. If anything ever goes wrong with it, you first try to clean it out, make sure you don't have any clogs anywhere. But if you ever need some replacement parts, it's good to have those nearby. For an airbrush cleaner, I like to sort of just make mine at home. So what you'll do is take a household cleaner, something like a Fabuloso, and just go ahead and water that down. You want to make sure of something like 10 to 15% Fabuloso, and then 85 to 90% straight water. And then you just want to make sure that you don't have any ammonia in that cleaner, because that could sort of start to dry out or rust up some of the parts inside your airbrush. If you're going to be airbrushing, it's also great to have an airbrush cleaning pot, so you could take any of your leftover paint, spray that directly into there, or you could pour it directly into your paint cup. But this is also great just to help clean it out, flush out any of that old paint, and you could keep cycling some of that cleaner directly through there until you're spraying clear through your airbrush. And this is just going to help you keep that thing moving nice and seamlessly for you. Now, we just touched on airbrush stencils, but for some more basic vinyl stencils, my preferred vinyl is going to be Oracal 811. I buy it in a huge 24-inch wide roll just to save on buying the larger quantity. This is my preferred one. I think the kind of standard is going to be the 651, but I have found the 811 is what works best for me. If I'm moving into working on fabric shoes, mesh, primed, I need an even stronger adhesive. That's when I'm going to use the FDC 3700 glitter vinyl. This stuff is nothing to play around with. If you don't seriously prep your shoes, if you don't really give them dry time, you go ahead and lay this down on a leather painted shoe and it's gonna peel up a lot of that paint if you didn't really make sure to prep them correctly and give them adequate dry time. Then to transfer that vinyl onto our shoes, we're either gonna need to use transfer tape or transfer paper. I prefer to use the 6-inch roll of Green Star Lay Flat Classic transfer tape. This stuff is a lot more easier to work with than transfer paper in my opinion, mainly just because of how easy it is to rip and how easy it is to bend. Since we're not working on a flat surface, we're working on shoes that have a lot of curves and contours, so this is my go-to. Then for cutting out the vinyl, I use the Silhouette Cameo line. I have a Cameo 2 and a Cameo 3. I think they released a 4 late last year, but all of them are gonna do pretty much the same thing for you. Now for finishers, hands down, the best one I have ever used is the Liquid Kicks matte finishers. They have a couple options you can pick from. There actually is an even more matte option than the matte finish called the flat finish, but I love the way the matte finish comes out. I actually no longer even need to use any duller in any of my paints because of how strong this finisher actually is and how flat of a paint job you're actually gonna get. I love a matte look to all of my paint jobs, and I think that too commonly a lot of the other matte finishers on the market still give you a relatively painted look, so using this matte finish really helps remove all that, and this is hands down the best finisher I've ever used. If I'm ever working on any fabrics though, I still think the Kyrlon matte finish is a great option rather than a liquid finish. A simple notepad and to-do list is always gonna come in handy for customizers trying to keep everything in your mind and actually physically crossing something off a list. There's nothing like it. I think a wise man once said something like a dull pencil is better than a sharp memory or something like that, but actually crossing something off and being done with the project, always gonna be great for you. For content purposes, always a great idea to be filming yourself while you're painting. I love this Ryobi Gorilla Pod. It's great because all of these weird bendy legs you could fit in any type of workspace, whether you're in a small space or you just need to get it up, mounted on something weird. These really come in handy, and then having the little attachment to whether you're filming with your iPhone or a DSLR, whatever the case is, it's just always great to have as much content as possible. And I think just showing the process is always gonna be really cool for people to see. You may think that people don't wanna see you painting or anything like that, but seeing a project come to life, there's always going to be something special about it, especially when somebody's finding you for the first time and then you show them a little bit of an insight into your behind the scenes. Always gonna be great. I know we covered a ton of stuff in today's video. I'd be super curious to hear from you guys. What's something that you use on an everyday basis when it comes to customizing, maybe that we didn't have featured here, or what's something that you're interested in picking up that you found in today's video that you think might come in handy for you. I'd love to hear about that from you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Go ahead and give it a like if you haven't already. Make sure you guys are subscribed for more content just like this, and we'll see you guys in that next video.